And welcome. I'm Miriam Ortiz y Pino. This is the Streamlined Connection on Bold Brave TV network, and I'm so excited to be doing this show. It's called the Streamlined Connection for a reason. Most people don't really realize that being organized is actually the key to freedom, and if you spend the time to get organized, you will have more time, freedom, wealth, prosperity, and the stress and overwhelm that being disorganized is causing you is really, it's constant stress. It affects all the other areas of your life, and it's about more than being just tidy. Organization is. It's about how all the things work together. It's a powerful tool to help you connect the control you crave and the freedom you desire. And that's the piece that was missing for so many of my clients. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a minute. Really, being organized is a reflection of your internal space in your external world. And that's why mindset is such an important piece of it. How you think about being organized and how you think about your stuff, your relationship with time, stuff, space, and money. All of it comes together in the Streamlined Connection. And I'm going to be having conversations that take us deeper, more than just which is the best hanger to use, although we'll probably talk about that as well. But I wanted to put something together that helped take it deeper, because the conversation about being organized is so often just about the surface things. What container do I use? How do I make it pretty? Which has very little to do with actually living an organized life. So I really wanted to make something that would bring all of these things together. And for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm a certified professional organizer. I actually sat for a test and have to keep up with CEUs, so I know the best practices for being and staying organized and productivity. I'm also a money breakthrough business coach, which means I know all about how systems and mindset affect the results you get in your business and productivity. And so when all of these things come together, it allows you and me to live a more satisfying and meaningful life, because that's the purpose, right? We want to create that satisfying and nurturing environment that helps us be better people, right? So let me tell you how I got here. There were a lot of clients over the years that I would watch them do things like put something small, like their pen, under a piece of paper, and then spend 10 minutes looking for the pen. And when I would notice, okay, what are you doing over there? And they'd say, looking for my pen. I'd be like, it's under that piece of paper. There's an awareness piece to being organized. There's a mind-body connection that comes into play as well. So how we put all these things together, it's actually kind of easy, but most people are unfamiliar. And so that's going to be part of today as well. I want to get you aware and familiar how all these things fit together so that you're ready for these deeper conversations. The other thing I noticed a lot of my clients do was they would just have containers that they had purchased to solve an organizing problem. And those containers would be in front of whatever they were doing. So there'd be an empty shelf with some sort of container in front of the shelf, and then a pile of the stuff that was supposed to go in the container or on the shelf in front of it, so they couldn't get to it. That would happen often when the container was the wrong size for the space, or there was actually more to fit in the container than they had room for. And so they wouldn't know what to do once they encountered an obstacle, and stuff would just stay there, and it would cause more clutter. Right? And then more overwhelm, more stress. See how it's all connected. And there's always an easier way to do it. If you think about why you're doing it in the first place, if you have a plan of attack and a set of steps that you go through to be organized in the first place, it's easier to maintain and control long term. The other piece that was really interesting was how often my clients would do things like run to fast food to pick up food for the family because it was faster than heating a can of soup in the microwave for dinner. I don't really understand how this happens, but we are very unaware of how much time things take. I'm experiencing a little bit of that today myself as I'm getting used to these segments on TV. How fast am I talking? How much more time do I have? All those things are coming into play. So it's a little bit of work to become aware of how long things take, but I highly recommend you taking the time to figure out your time by actually keeping some sort of journal about how long things take. Does it actually take you longer to put your laundry away or to leave it on the couch and have to refold it and then put it away later because it got knocked over by the dog or the kid? Is it something that you think is going to be real quick and takes you much longer? Going to the grocery store is a great example. People will run to the store real quick, forgetting that they have to factor in drive time, standing in line time, unloading the car time, after having loaded the car time, and putting things away time. So where are the little leaks of time happening because you're not fully aware of all the factors that would go into figuring that out? So all of these things add up to some mistakes, some errors in mindset, if you will. And once I realized that there was that connection between thinking and doing and the results people were getting, I got really interested in how can I possibly figure this out for people? How can I make it easier for them? Because that's what I'm all about. I like to make things easier wherever I go. So I spent a lot of time doing some research, doing some study, and coming up with the best ways to help people make better decisions based on where they are at the moment, how they are orienting themselves. So I'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. I'm Miriam Ortiz y Pino. This is the Streamlined Connection, and you're on the Bold Brave TV network. We're going to take just a quick break, and I will talk more about space. The free 1-minute mail solution works for email too, and you can download it at the link below or over there. Maybe it's the link. Before the break, we were talking about how things are connected in the world of organizing, our mindset, our actions, and the results we get. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how things got there for me and how I started really thinking it was all about space and that people were going to need me to come fix their space and make their space pretty and usable. And it's true. Most of my clients still call me because their space is chaotic. They're overwhelmed. They're stressed. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to start. And often I would hear things like, I think I just need to move. I need more space, which is interesting. It's kind of like pouring a glass of milk, having the glass fill up, having it start to overflow, and instead of stopping pouring or taking a big slushy sip out of it to make more room, instead they're just going to keep adding and then move all of the stuff they're pouring and the stuff that's already in the glass and walk across the room to a different space. That doesn't solve the problem, right? You see where I'm going with that? You need to create space by getting rid of something and or turning something off. Something's not working. And it is not that you need a bigger glass. It is that you need to know what you're putting in the glass and how much that glass will hold, right? You need enough room to dunk your cookies. So let's figure out how to know how much is enough. And the way to do that is to have a place for everything and put everything in its place. Seems simple, right? It's the old analogy. Have a place for everything, keep it there. The problem with keep it there is sometimes people actually think you're not supposed to then use this stuff. By all means, use it in between, pull it out, mess it up, make the project, make the food, create the report, then pick up all the stuff you needed to do that and put it back where it goes. You have to reset a space on the other end of using the space. So you have to set it up right the first time, which is impossible. So you're not going to set it up right the first time. You're going to set it up and then play with it and tweak it and adjust as you need to. The other thing that was really interesting, I found, is that space has a lot to do with what you own. And our relationship with space, is it about storing things? Like the old George Carlin bit about a house is just a place to keep the stuff? Or is it more about how you're going to use the stuff and why you have it in the first place? What does it say about you that you own these things? It's all connected. And I'm going to keep coming back to how these connections happen, because what you own, how you keep it, where you keep it, and how you use it, and how you let it go tell me so much about you. And all of that is actually about your relationships with time, stuff, space, people, and money. So space is just the thing that leads us in. You can have a space, and how you're going to use that space and interact with that space is the important part of arranging a space. What do you own it for? What is this thing that you own? Why do you need it? What do you use it for? Was it a gift? All of these questions come into play when we're talking about space. But instead of thinking of space as something to fill to the brim and stuff full, what if you could have space to breathe, space for freedom, to work out, to play with the kids, to plan out your whole year because you can spread out on the floor or on the walls? What happens when you interact with your space differently? So think about it this way. How do you feel when you walk into your home or your office? Is it a pleasant experience? Is it something that's a little more stressful because it's very heavy and weighted down by the stacks of stuff? Or is it a light, airy space where you feel you can get something done? And where do you feel that space, that feeling of spaciousness? When you're outside, when you're in certain buildings, when you walk into a favorite store or museum or friend's house? What happens when you walk into a hotel room? Do you suddenly feel, oh my God, this is fantastic. We can keep things moving. We can keep things thinking and flowing because there's just what we need in this little room. How do you feel in the space is so much more important than what color box you have in that space. Okay? I'm a minimalist, but I have a lot of things. I just have only the things that serve me and work for me. And so just that little change in mindset, how we're using our things, how it's in our space, how it's all working. Speaking of work, what happens when you work so hard that you don't ever get to enjoy the space? I also, on the flip side of having clients with too much stuff in a too small space because they can't let go of things or don't know the right questions to ask, I do also have some clients that bought too big a house for themselves and then haven't even furnished some rooms. So in those rooms, there's just piles on the floor of stuff that may go in that room if they ever put a guest room together and had guests over. But in the meantime, they just have piles of stuff on the floor. And it doesn't feel very energetically pleasing. It's not aesthetically pleasing. And it's a nagging thing in the back of their mind that they need to do. So also, see, it works both ways. You can have too much or too little. The trick is figuring out why you have things, what you need them for, and so why is the most powerful question you can ask yourself. Why? Why do I have it? Why do I want it? Why did I buy it? Why am I still using it? It's broken. Why can't I let it go? What's that about? Start becoming aware of why. Notice how these things are connecting. If you have a place for where you put your mail and your bills and the mail that comes in and the information you want to keep track of, you know where to put it when it comes in, instead of leaving it on the edge of the kitchen counter and saying, I have so much, it's overwhelming, I can't deal with it now. I will deal with it tomorrow. Forever. You say, I'll deal with it later. Well, guess what? Later is the day you are overwhelmed and tired and cranky and need it now and you can't find it. So that's not a good plan, right? It's better to have a place for everything and know where to put it. So when you do need to find that thing, you know at least it's in this smaller area. So it's one of those 87 piles is much more overwhelming than 1 or 2 piles. And if you want to find out more about that, there's I have a little PDF about how to set that up. It's called the 1-Minute Mail Solution, and it's available at morethanorganized.net/mail-in-one. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm Miriam Ortiz y Pino with the Streamlined Connection on Bold Brave TV Network, and we are going to be talking a little bit more about the things, the actual things, when we come back. The Streamlined Clutter Solution online course will help you gain control of your stuff and space. What are you waiting for? The link's around here somewhere. We were talking about space and our relationship with space and the things in the space, which is perfect because now we're going to be talking about the things in the space. And we're going to follow up with that. What are they for? Why do we have them? But I want to address a couple things first. The fact that we live in a culture that very much prizes having more, better, faster, cooler, more purple, whatever it is, we like more. It's a capitalist society. We are bombarded with messages of we need these things, but it's not really true. It's a marketing ploy. It's designed to get you to spend money in the marketplace to keep the machinery humming along, which is fine. But if you make purchases based on other people's feelings and relationships to things instead of your own, you're not going to be very happy once you get them home. You're going to be disappointed. In fact, you're probably going to be overwhelmed and kind of pissed off about the fact that you bought the thing that doesn't work the way you thought it would because it worked for someone else, not for you in your situation. So this is the same thing that happens with services as well. It's not just things, but if you buy something, the perfect fitness trainer, and you didn't lose all the weight and all that stuff, is it the trainer or is it you or is it your relationship to the fact that you needed a trainer in the first place? There's a lot of different places to look, and that can be very scary for people. But let's get back to things for now. We'll deal with the deeper stuff in future episodes. Why do you need more? Is it a security thing? There's some legitimate reasons for needing more. Some of my clients live far out from town and they need to keep a little bit more on hand in case they can't get through a snowstorm or something like that. Some people need more because they have a giant family and they have to be able to feed all 10 teenagers, whatever it is. Know what it is you need for you and your life and how you want to be and who you want to be within your life, right? What happens is we accumulate a certain amount of stuff, and then you think another thing is going to solve the problem of there's too much stuff to fit in that spot. So this happens a lot in pantries. People go to Costco, they buy a big container, they put the whole box with its plastic wrap all over the top on the shelf, and then they put other things on top of it, and then they can't open the plastic wrap the next time they go into the pantry to grab a can of something. And so the thing that was on top ends up on the floor, half of the cans spill out on the floor, the plastic wrap is now knocking something else over, and their solution is to go to a container store and buy a bin to keep the cans in. Well, they came in a container that didn't work. And they are, in fact, their own container. So what if instead you just took the cans and put them on the shelf without anything around them, like at the grocery store? Like arrange your pantry the way that the grocery store is arranged. Wouldn't that be faster and easier to maintain? Most things we put on a shelf and then want to put a container around already are their own containers. There's very few things that flop around. There's some bulk items in the pantry. There are some things in the bathroom that may come with squishy bottom things that flop over. There are some office supplies that may not stand up on their own without getting kind of floppy and need a little bit of support. But if you start off by creating this space on the shelf for the things you need without a container, it's much more likely you're going to find exactly the right container when you do need to keep things from flopping over. Or if you need to keep a kit of things. For instance, to do this TV show, I have, a headset, I've got a microphone, I've got a camera, I've got a couple other little accessories that need to happen, but I only do this once a week. So what do I do with this stuff the rest of the time? I don't leave it out. I put it in a bin on the shelf across the room. And then once a week, I pull it out, put it all together, takes about a minute, and then I put it away at the other end, and that takes about a minute and a half. So you can see how knowing where things go, having a place for it, and keeping it there helps. It also might help to contain a group of things that you use together. They all go in the same bin. It's labeled TV stuff, and it all stays in the right place. So a container doesn't always fix it, but sometimes it does. And knowing the difference is one of the key things that I think many of my clients have. It's so obvious that they haven't quite grasped it until I point it out. And then it becomes, oh, duh, I should do that. So the other piece about that is pick the right containers for you. I always recommend, if you go to Costco and get those things that are wrapped and then wrapped in the wrap and then wrapped in the wrap, you want to take all the wrap off, because fighting with the wrap and the box once for a little bit longer is so much faster than fighting with the wrap for all 24 cans you got to pull out of that case, right? That would take a lot more time. So get it out of the extra wrapping, put it on a shelf, think grab and go, just like if you were going to the grocery store or to the convenience store. And become really aware and purposeful when you buy things for that one is good, two is better mindset or offer. So there's a lot of marketing, especially at the big box stores, where I'm going to just package 27 pairs of scissors in this big plastic thing, and you can buy it, and you really only needed the one pair of scissors. And now what do you do with the other 26 pairs, right? Think about that. Or, the infomercial thing where buy now and get a second one free. Just pay shipping and handling. Well, do you need 2 8-inch skillets? Do you need 2 bottles of that shampoo? What do you need? It's fine if it's an actual bargain, but just because they're offering you 2 doesn't mean you need to take 2. I sometimes go to the counter at the drugstore and it'll be like a buy one get one half off situation, and it's something I'm trying for the first time. I don't know if I need a second one, and the cashier will be like, don't you want the other one? And no, I don't know if it's going to work yet, so why would I buy 2 at this point in time? So think that through as well. How often do you buy something and then there's extra parts and pieces that you could let go of? Sometimes there's a kit, like a set of Legos, and your kids never use the minifigs. Do you need to keep all the minifigs, or can you pass them along? Do you need all the skillets and lids in that cookware set, or can you pass them along? So just because you bought it doesn't mean you have to keep it, or all the pieces that were in the box that you did buy. All right, we're going to take another quick break. I'm Miriam Ortiz y Pino. This is the Streamlined Connection on Bold Brave TV Network, and after the break, we'll talk about time. Stay tuned. Get the Streamlined Paper Solution online course and learn quick ways to control interesting information. The link's here. And before the break, we were talking about things and our relationship with things and how to make better decisions about the things we bring in. And many of those same things apply to time, because time is a thing, right? And our relationship with time is very interesting. There is a lot of research being done about how our brains process information, and I think there have been some breakthroughs that are really going to be interesting for us to explore in future episodes of the show about how we think about time and how time contracts and expands to make enough room for the things we want to do if we're clear about what we want to do. And so I always start my clients with an exercise or 2 about what they want to have happen instead of what is currently happening. And then we can blend what is actually happening with what you want to have happen and get more of what you want to have happen, more of what you want to feel, more of the things you are interested in done, and less of the stressful, annoying things in your life are going to happen when you start with, what do you want? What do you want in your life? What do you want to spend your time on? Even if it seems crazy, like you want to play video games, well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. Maybe you're a gamer and it makes perfect sense that that's what your hobby is and you give up something else instead of that. But if we approach time from a there's never enough place, which is similar to the fear of lack and wanting to overbuy things, it's the same kind of mindset of there's never enough. But what if there was? What if the world is an actual abundant place where everything you need will be available to you when you need it? It may not look exactly like you want it, but it will be there for you. What if that was true of time? What if you always had more than enough time to do the things you want to do? I would bet that you spend on average 2 hours a day on busy work, on things that don't move you forward in your life or your work or your relationships, on things that someone else thought you should do or check out or be involved in, and also putting things off that you think are going to take too long, and maybe even taking too long on things you thought would be real quick. So we're back to the space thing. How are you interacting with the space, and how do you be aware of what you need to do to fill that time, which is actually space, in a calendar, right? If you have a calendar and you fill it with things, it's just like filling a closet with things. You want to fill it with the best things, not the stained, outdated stuff you're not interested in anymore. You want to put the best things that show you off to your best effect into that closet/calendar. You see where I'm going with this? All of it's connected. So you want to get aware how long things actually take, what you want, and why you're spending time on certain things, and get really honest with yourself. Especially people that tend to be more nurturing have a problem with boundaries, and time is all about boundaries and decision making, because for everything you say yes to, it means you have to say yes, yes and yes. It's a yes and no situation here. If you say yes to something, that means you automatically have to say no to something else, even if it's doing the dishes or putting the thing away or not getting to your own workout, which has that cascade effect of you become crankier, you get depleted, you don't have enough to give when you really need to give. Stop over-giving, over-delivering, and create some really strong boundaries. By strong, I mean flexible and able to be adapted with a change in decision based on circumstances. Not so strict that you never say yes to certain things, but more of a, you know what your own priorities are, and those take precedent over depleting yourself in other areas for other people, for things that aren't really that special to you. And there's a really easy way to say no. No. Would you like to be involved in this? No. See, it's not saying anything about me. It's not saying anything about anyone. It is just the fact that it's not important to you in this moment in time, at this stage of your life, with everything else that's going on around you. It's a no for now. You can always think of things as no for now, including if you happen to be running your own business and are in sales of some sort and someone says no to you. It's not no forever. It's just no to this offer, or no, not right now. It doesn't mean no, you're a terrible person. So it goes both ways. If it's said to you, take it with a grain of salt. Don't put pressure on people to also then change their plans and follow up. And don't feel bad about saying no because it's not the right time or the right offer for you at this point in time, right? It's funny. I occasionally have a client call, and when we go to start scheduling their sessions with me, they will want to rearrange 12 other appointments to fit me in. And instead, I say, what if we just looked a few weeks out and started on a day where you already have availability? Because every time you reschedule, you are wasting everybody's time. If you say yes to something, it is now a commitment and it should be on your calendar and you should follow through with that, even if it is for yourself. If you write down you're going to go get your nails done or work with a personal trainer or do yoga in your own living room, that is an appointment. It is a commitment with yourself, to yourself, and you should follow through on that because our minds are connected to our behaviors. And we need that feedback loop that we are capable of doing something, like making our bed every morning. If we make our bed every morning, it's not so that your bed stays made and, people are really intense about making your bed. It's actually to start the day with a feedback loop that says you're capable of accomplishing something. You just made your bed. Now we can go on and do something else on the list or that you wanted to work on. So it's a combination of awareness, your relationship with time, setting boundaries, creating efficiencies to make things go easier, and setting up those habits, which we'll also be talking a lot about on this show. So after the break, which we have to take another one, we will talk about money and how that fits into all of these things. Get the Streamlined Paper Solution online course and learn quick ways to control interesting information. The link's here. Before, we were talking about time and habits, and the place I noticed it showing up for a lot of my clients was money, their money beliefs. They would say things as we were working through their clutter that led me to believe that they had a very interesting relationship with money. I myself had some limiting money beliefs, and it took a while to break through some of those, but I did the work, and now I actually am a trained sacred money archetypes coach and a money breakthrough method business coach. And I use all of those skills with my organizing clients as well, because how we do money is how we do everything. And if you're thinking about your money wrong, I'm going to say it wrong. There are mistakes in how we think about money. It has nothing to do with you being a bad person or feeling like you don't know what you're doing, and everything to do with the fact that, like time, we don't spend a lot of time learning about money and our relationship with money in this world. I don't know anywhere that has a really great way of teaching money, but I could be wrong. I've not been to many places. But what it comes down to is money actually abundant or is it scarce? And just like things, just like time, just like space, knowing that and becoming aware of that and asking yourself why money is important for you. And anyone that says money isn't important is lying, because it may just be important in a different way to you. It doesn't make you a bad person to earn more money. It just enhances who you already are. So if you're a great, wonderful, nice, kind, open-hearted person, you will still be all those things when you have money, because your decisions are going to be based on who you are, not some weird evil that comes with money, because that's ridiculous. Those traits and those behaviors are already there, and someone was aspiring to be something that you are not, and so you will have a different result. But how does this show up, and how does it relate to clutter and organization and getting what you want out of life? Well, what do you spend your money on? I bet it's how you spend your time as well, because how we do money is how we do everything. Do you pay for little luxuries like getting your nails done and a massage? Is it actually a little luxury? I get a massage every 3 weeks because I have an upper back neck injury. And if I don't, I can't move. I can't do my work. I get migraines. And so for me, while it's totally luxurious to get a massage every 3 weeks, it's also a necessity. So how you think about things, how you judge others about how they spend, may or may not be true. And I want you to take some time to examine that and learn more about that. It will help you make better decisions about your stuff and your time. Why are you buying more clothes? Is it because you don't like the way you look in your clothes? Or do you feel bad about yourself? Are you soothing? Are you avoiding? Do you pay your bills on time? Do you know where your bills are? Do you have some sort of concept of how much money you need to retire? How much money you spend? On average, I save my clients $450 a month on groceries and incidentals. That's every month for the rest of your life. If you figure out a system for rotating the things through your house, making decisions about what you buy and how you use the things you use, right? Distractions are everywhere. But to be in control, to get that control you crave, you have to set yourself up for success by examining the mindset behind these things. So 3 ways that money mindset may be easily accessible to you to start this evaluation for yourself is how often do you buy things on bargain or just because it's a bargain? Well, it was only $1 in that dollar bin at that store, you know. It was only buy one, get one free. It was only the thing I needed 6 months ago and didn't have. And so I bought more this time because it was on sale, but I still haven't used up the one I used 6 months ago, or I bought 6 months ago. See how it all starts connecting? The decision you make today can affect your results later down the road. Are you overwhelmed because you have too many things in your way and the stuff falls out of the cabinet every time you open it? Don't buy so much in the first place. Use that money for something else you'd rather have, like a massage. It's all connected. And I'm not making any judgment about what you choose to buy. Maybe you are a person that has status as an important factor. There are a couple sacred money archetypes that actually really like to have fancy handbags. I am not one of them, but I do like a good one that will last me for years and years. So think about how you relate to status and what displaying that status externally means to you. Is it just having a nice, reliable, clean car, or is it having the most expensive car on the market this year? What is it that works for you? That's what you should spend your money on, strive for, figure out, buy, not spending on all the little stuff I find in everybody's house. There are so many little things that you just don't need. Nobody needs, to be honest. There are some things out there that I'm like, really? Did this work even for the purpose of the person that invented it, needed it to? I'm not sure. But think about that. What status, what do you want to convey to people with your purchases? Okay? And always be super aware of where you're avoiding something. I think many women, especially, we have this fear of running out of money or not being able to take care of ourselves. We're still in that weird in-between place where we're completely capable. We have most of the opportunities that men do, although we're still only paid 73 cents on the dollar, which is annoying to no end. But what is it that you can do to create your own sense of security? If that's the true deep why, and we're back to using that question why. Do you know about the 5 whys? Why, and why will get you to why you really want to spend money on certain things. So start thinking about money as that tool. It's the power to allow you to be how you want to be in the world. And you have control over that. We're going to take another quick break. And I'm Miriam Ortiz y Pino. This is the Streamlined Connection on Bold Brave TV Network. And when we come back, we'll recap and finish up. But I love where we're going with this. We'll be right back. Get the Streamlined Time Solution online course and learn easy ways to control your time and tasks. Link's here somewhere. Down there, I think. I want to just kind of recap what we went over today because it's a lot. And it's probably a different way of thinking about being organized and getting organized than you've heard in the past, because it's not just about putting things away in a pretty container. We want your life to be supportive and nurturing. We want to create wealth and prosperity and freedom that you get to experience because you're organized, and you have systems and routines and habits in place that allow you to make better decisions about how you spend your money, your time, use your space, and what you own and have to take care of for the rest of your life. When you own something, you have to take care of it. All right, not for the rest of your life, but for the rest of its life. So sometimes it's longer than yours. What about that? This is why it's all connected, and it's a little bit complicated, and it can feel a little overwhelming. But over the next few episodes, maybe more, we are going to break things down so that you know exactly what steps to take in the right order so that you get better results with your organizing efforts than you ever have before. I want you to remember too that one of the things you can start with is the 1-minute mail solution. It is a free offer on the website morethanorganized.net/mail-in-one. Will get you there, and that's free for you. So check it out. What else? There's space. We have space, and it holds the things, and the things require our time and attention. And when we know what that attention is, because we know who and how we want to be in the world, we know how to make those decisions, right? The overwhelm goes away. We are excited. We can have wonderful days, much less frustration, more money in the bank, more freedom, right? Who doesn't want more freedom to play those video games or read a book or watch TV or create the next great thing? I don't actually know who my guest will be next time yet, but we have some good ones lined up for future episodes, and something will come together. Your comments, feedback, and questions are also always welcome. I'm happy to answer questions, and if you start asking questions, we'll do Q&A shows. Who knows? You can send any of those questions or comments to Miriam, Miriam, at morethanorganized.net. And I'd also love to invite you to invite your friends to watch and listen with you, because getting organized is so much more fun when we have our friends involved. It should spark some discussions as well, because a lot of these things are not talked about in the organizing world. Or if they are, they're given kind of lip service, and it's hard to understand why you want to just keep things that spark joy if you don't know all the mindset stuff that goes in behind what brings you joy. Do you know what brings you joy? Maybe we'll even get Marie Kondo on the show. What do you think? She's on my wish list. That'd be cool. All right, so tell your friends. Visit morethanorganized.net. There's a lot of free resources, blog, and other ways to connect with me there. And, I can't wait to see what happens for everybody as you watch this show, and what gets to happen for me as I make this show. I have a feeling it's going to be enlightening for all of us. Let's see. I have to stretch this out a little bit because I have another 30 seconds or something. Containers. What's your favorite container? How many containers do you have? Do you have a lot of extra hangers? I'm actually getting ready to do a new thing on my Instagram account you might want to check out, and that is sharing the extra containers I find at people's houses. So if you have a shot of extra containers, feel free to share it with me. I'd be happy to post it on the interwebs. All right, that's it for now. In the meantime, I'm Miriam Ortiz y Pino, and have a delightful day.